And we are back. Welcome to the Coaching Coach podcast. Few days from that crushing defeat. But we back, baby. Now, I don't know what my offensive coordinator got on. It looks a little orangey. I don't know
First thing I could find, Coach.
Don't know if he lost a bet. Don't know what's really going on, guys. But I hope he just found what he could find. But welcome to the Coaching Coach podcast. We are your source for all things sports in the area that we live in, and we go even farther than that. I am your defensive coordinator. I am the guy that cannot stop a team from driving down the field and scoring the game-winning touchdown. I'm sorry. I tried my best, but we couldn't get it done. But I am still the defensive coordinator. I haven't got fired yet. I still got a job for now. But that guy that kept us in the game, that guy right beside me, our offensive coordinator, Coach Benji, and we make up the Coaching Coach podcast. Make sure you hit that follow button. TikTok, we're back. Make sure you hit that screen. Let us know you with us. Let us know you love us. Drop us a comment. We'll try our best, guys. We're going to try our best to answer questions. You know, TikTok be rolling so fast, man. Y'all gotta bear with us. Bear with us. Let us know. If you got to ask a question 2 or 3 times, just ask it. We'll try to get to it. Those that's following us on Facebook Live, I'm going to try my best to keep it. I see you, Cole. Me too, man. Those that follow us on Facebook Live, we'll try our best. I'm going to keep it up. But if I missed a question, because my niece got on to me, Coach, she got mad. She asked a question on Facebook, but I asked her why she didn't ask it on TikTok. And she got mad, and she said, I deleted all my questions and blah, 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 blah. And I just said, well, you know, you win some, you lose some. But if you happen to miss the show tonight, and you shouldn't be missing it, because you should be contacting somebody right now and telling them that the Coaching Coach podcast is on right now. But if you happen to miss it, you can go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. You can go to YouTube. We replay the episodes on YouTube, audio only. We replay it on YouTube, and you can go back and listen to the show. But we are back, man. Coach, welcome back, man.
We're here.
We're here. We've been a tough couple of days, man. You know, I think LL Cool J had a song. He said he was alone in his room. Sometimes he stared at the wall. But Coach, man, when I got there, somebody said I sounded depressed on the TikTok live. I was. We lost. You thought I was going to be excited about it? But Coach, how's it going, man? How's everything going your way?
Man, I'm going to tell you, the grind don't stop. We're moving into portal season, high school, what's left of the high school recruiting. Covering some other things, some interesting things.
NFL playoff football is here, man.
NFL playoff football. You know, I'm a college guy. I did watch a lot of NFL this weekend.
But they used to play college, Coach. You got to come on board too, man. They used to play college.
You're right. Maybe if the Titans could figure some things out and.
Hey, at least y'all didn't lose off of a field goal and miss the playoffs.
That's true.
Playoffs?
We knew from the start.
We had hope. And when your hope get busted, it's a different monster, man. And that's a whole nother story. I'll talk about that later on.
But
Maddox Garrett said, go Giants, man. At least we're not Giant fans.
Yeah.
We all missed the playoffs, man. We all in the same boat.
If the Giants were healthy.
They were healthy.
Yeah.
They might have been a different team if they were healthy.
But I've also transitioned my calendar to 2026 and getting healthier, so I'm kind of sitting here stoved up and working out. I'm pretty sore.
Oh, yeah. I weigh too much, Coach. I weigh 230. I don't want to be 230 no more, because I told my church I'm not buying any more suits. So, I'm not finna buy no more suits. I'm not finna go up another size. So I got to get back to training like I'm training for meets like I used to back in the day.
So I'm no longer in mourning. I'm more in recovery, and due to being fat and out of shape. So here's the
I've been eating a lot of
2026.
Cake. Been eating a lot of cake the last 2 days because I'm still depressed. I've been eating a lot, and then my sister, Um, during the game, my brother-in-law talked her into cooking a cake, coach, and she did it. And just it's a depression cake now. I don't want it no more. You can keep your little cake.
Hey, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
Well, Coach, man, it's a lot of news going on right now, and I feel like in the offseason, that's what we're going to run into. You're going to get a lot of news, and we're going to be right here to give it to you. We won't. We're not going to neglect the local scene. We just get as you know, it was a lot going on in college football, but we're not going to neglect the local scene. We're not going to neglect. We're going to try our best to give you everything that's going on around you, beyond you, close to you, far from you. We're going to do our best, but you got to make sure that you hit that subscribe button. You got to make sure you hit that screen. I need to see them loves popping, because when the loves pop, what did they say? I don't want to be after the love is gone. I want to see the love still there. So we got to keep that screen popping. Make sure you let somebody know that we're on. But Coach, we are knee deep in the transfer portal, and we only got 4 days to go.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna heat up. I think you have to be in the portal by the 16th. You don't have to. I guess you don't have to have your landing spot. I'm sure people would
It's got
like
to be
to,
in there.
but as long as you get somewhere before classes start or that drop ad date's over with, you're fine. And I think it's been a crazy this portal season's. I think you saw the Rev-share guardrails they put up where they
Yeah.
can now put some buyouts and some things in these deals, and
And I think
you're seeing a little bit of
we saw that firsthand.
yeah, you're seeing a little bit of protection, I guess, protecting the school's interests and things, which is there needs to be. You have collective bargaining agreements on at the professional level between owners and players, and you need schools and players to you know come together and figure this thing out. But I think the next problem is going to be what you're seeing now is you have your rev share guaranteed pot, and you're going to pay that money out to your top end guys, and then you have your third party NIL stuff that kind of fills your roster out. It's not as guaranteed, so players you're seeing a lot of players sign and then jump right back in the portal, or players who are getting tampered with who are on your roster that you thought may be staying. Now they're having a chance to go out and find guaranteed money through that rev share number, and I think it's going to end up being as crazy, and we thought it would be crazy, but I think it's going to be as crazy as the portal seasons that we have seen in the past.
Coach, when you was talking before we got on, and I was talking about the portal. Right now, college football reminds me of JUCO football back in the day, where basically you got to hit it that one time. And one thing I see, and before we get into certain players and different things, and what certain schools are doing, I see a lot of people overreact to teams losing a lot of players. That's not where the focus should be. It's who you're bringing in.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't think that there should be an overflux of panic when you see a team that done lost 25 players, 30 players. Okay, that number, yeah, it scares you when you're just looking at it. But
and the other thing, Coach, you can't be the guy that when he transfers to you, he's God's greatest gift, but when he's leaving, he wasn't worth anything to begin with. You can't be like that either.
Well, this need to be broadcast to the world right now, because the crap that I'm seeing on Twitter right now is that a player is awesome, 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 and then when he leave or sign with somebody else. Now, I did see something funny, and I kind of agree with him. There's a certain player that left a certain school that we represent, and they said he was in the portal, and the first message I saw was "Thank the Lord."
Yeah.
but you see, and me and you, we go a little bit. We don't go a little bit. We go in depth with these players, and we know, and a lot of people they look at this stuff. You see a lot of news media talk about, like they was talking about a starting linebacker that left Ole Miss, and I'm sitting there, and everybody asks me, well, who is it? Well, apparently he must not have been starting, because I had to go search him out. And when that clickbait hit, and when they see that, And then, Ole Miss is in trouble now, or Texas A&M is in trouble now, or Auburn is in trouble now. When the focus should be on who's coming back in, who
Yeah,
you're
it's
who you're
definitely the portal season for because there are some people who are national writers, beat guys across the country who are only for recruiting. This is their time to get their clicks and their quota
yeah,
and stuff. So you
and they
see some of
working
that
on it.
stuff.
They working
Um,
on it big time, man.
but I do agree with you, and you know, we talk about Ole Miss mostly, and I do think that the list is starting to grow on players leaving, and there are some, especially on the offensive line. I think there's some guys that you would like to hope that they're just testing the waters and may be coming back. Maybe they hear their number and their agent. You find out and you come to some sort of agreement. But I do think that for this portal class and what they've clearly put an emphasis on had to be addressed, and I think they're addressing. I know that stars and things look great on paper. Um, the games played on the field, but on paper, this some of this looks a lot better than what is walking out the door, or not even walking out the door, but what you didn't have. Because defensively, where it's clear they're spending a lot of this time and energy on in the portal, that's what got them in the Fiesta Bowl. They had no depth. Will Eccles played, I think there was 92 offensive snaps. He played 81. Or there's 92. Miami had 92 offensive snaps, and Will Eccles played like 81, and then I believe TJ
Yes.
Daugherty played all 92 of them. So,
And coach, that was the thing that I was thinking about as we was getting here. We, after losing, a couple years ago after losing Junkins, and I was very mad over that. I felt like, but then I also thought, okay, we got Ulysses Bentley, but he Ulysses whatever he Ulysses, and he didn't get on the field, and we still were able to put together probably one talent wise one of the best Ole Miss teams that we ever had before, talent wise, top to bottom, and we still ended up losing to Kentucky and to LSU and to Florida that year. And whether you like it or not, there was 3 bad losses. I'm just gonna put it up, like say it what it was. And last year in the portal, we were so top heavy offensively that the lack of defensive depth showed up in that Miami game. The defensive line, that Miami, you know what? I just gotta apologize. That freaking offensive line of Miami was the best offensive line that I felt like we faced the whole year.
I agree. I completely agree.
They were dominant, and they did something that they it was just basically, we're not gonna let you expose our quarterback because we're not finna make him throw the ball down the field. What we're gonna do is run this football. We're gonna throw that hitch. We're gonna throw that bubble. We're gonna throw that quick screen. You're not finna have a field day on him.
Yep.
Because y'all like to pin your ears back and go at it. But I think in that last drive, that's what happened, is that Ole Miss was just wore out. And this time, this is what's important. You have to get some depth on that defensive line.
And they've done it.
Guys were wore out, man.
They've done it. I mean, they've done a great job of retaining what they have, and then I think you've added. And there's still, this thing's still open. We're hearing some things about, potentially another edge rusher type guy, another linebacker, SEC linebacker potentially. I think that, and as big of a deal as it is to get the depth pieces, I think a huge issue for this defense was definitely the secondary.
Yes,
and I mean
that gotta be fixed, man.
They've completely revamped the secondary. You've added, let's see, 2 safeties, 2 corners, and then
yes, that got to be fixed.
I don't know if they're done there either. So
it was so bad that we had Perkins in the flats.
Yeah.
Our edge rusher hadn't, and almost pull a game-winning interception if he. But there's a reason that he don't play defensive back. His hands are not there. But we had
And
Perkins.
and that whenever, like, I'm an offensive guy. When you know that you're going to get zone 95% of the time, you know what to call against zone. There was no, fooling defenses because we didn't have the personnel to rotate, play man, do different things. And when you're stuck pretty much in a base defense all the time, playing a zone defense, you get picked apart. People, they're going to find holes. So
One of
I
the
think
things,
that was a big part of fixing the secondary too, was to be able to play different mix and match styles of coverages, uh, and not be so, I guess, from an offensive standpoint, we would call it like one dimensional.
yeah. One of the things that a lot of people also miss in this time is your stars need to align. Going after, I mean, we think I'm very careful in this day and time with players that Ole Miss get. Do it fit what you're doing? Because I grew up in the Schaefer days, and let me tell you about Schaefer. When Schaefer was at Tennessee, I thought he was Michael Vick Jr. I said, this man is incredible. And then he got there and it did not fit. So for a long time, Texas was at the top of every recruiting. Every year they was number one and was not getting to was barely getting to the mop bowl. So just because that and I'm not even getting so caught up in to where that you'll see little tweets, Ole Miss is rising, and that's fine, that's cool. Is it gonna fit?
Yeah,
Is it gonna fit?
Coach, I wrote about
care less about being 3 or 4. And that's what I was going to get to because I read your article. I could care less about being 3 or 4 or 2. Is it going to fit? Because doing all that, look, it's like this. I told somebody this is the best example I can give you. Boys to Men are great singers. But have you heard them live trying to sing background? It's like everybody fighting each other. That's like, man, there's no blending. It's not like the studio. There's no blending. It's just a whole bunch of everybody's singing like they trying to sing lead. And that's why I feel that just because you get all of these and getting all the publication to say you're ranked here, ranked there, and what do it matter if it don't fit?
Yeah, I mean, and then I think about it like this too, and this is where I think Ole Miss has done a great job over the last in the portal era. I think they got burned in 2022, and they said we're going to recruit a certain type of player. He's got to fit this type of mold, and an older player that you're not spending so much time. Like, development's key.
Yeah.
But the younger you get, you're going to develop players for somebody else. That's all you're doing at this point. You're doing the development. They're transferring out, going somewhere else. So you need to. I think, and this is opinion. I wrote about it if you want to check it out. But you bring in some guys that are older because the game's getting older.
Yeah.
Go look at the teams that's playing in the national championship. Look at that. And you don't have to. They've been around the block. They can pick up on your playbook well. You can spend more time in the meeting rooms, in the film room, developing chemistry, because that's what's going to be the key. We've seen some great teams. It goes back to when we were talking about it last week about why the SEC dominance over with.
Yeah.
And I think this is part of it, Coach. I think the Big Ten and some of these other schools are building great teams, and we all, like, there's going to be a recruit in the SEC. There's a high school recruiting ranks champion. Everybody wants to win it.
Yeah.
In the SEC, there's going to be a transfer portal. Who can be number one in the portal? And if you don't, like you said, don't have that fit, they don't fit your culture, and you go on the road, like, it's cool on paper, this team looks great. How is this team going to play the first time they're in on the road in an SEC environment, down 7, 4 minutes left, they have to come together? go score to tie the game, keep
Yeah.
this game alive. And that's the difference in what I think a lot of makes you an elite team. Or, you know, I mean, we can name LSU this year was, people had them picked to win a national championship.
Yep. They was number one.
Florida was preseason top 15. South Carolina was preseason top
Number one
15.
in the portal.
And it's just not worked out. And I think I think like you said, the fit has a lot to do with it.
And you got to go get players that match you. Me just going, I know me as a basketball coach, I am a 2-3 zone guy. I try to modify it in so many ways. I run so many different versions of it. If I'm looking for a player, I can't go just because this player is a great player, but they don't play well in the zone. They man to man. Do I just go get that player because he's a 5-star or he's a 4-star? When he don't fit what I'm trying to do, because all it is, we're going to butt heads. He's going to be out of position. He's not going to be where he's supposed to be at. And I think a lot of that's why you're starting to see now that you have a national championship game. No, forget that. Look at the Final Four. The Final Four was Indiana, Oregon, Ole Miss, and Miami. That should tell you a lot right there. You need pieces that fit, not just, I want to say, because winning the crap. I think Colorado did very well a couple of years ago. They did very well, and the best they got out of it, they still didn't even win the Big 12.
Yeah,
and then they got blasted in the bowl. So just because teams got to focus on, and I hope teams and even fan bases, they don't go in depth. They don't really look at this stuff. We get in la la land, and I was there. I mean, back then when when recruiting mattered, coach, is when you had a player for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, you want to win that recruiting battle because those players are going to develop under your tutelage. Now it don't matter. You could be number one this year, and that whole squad will be gone next year.
Yeah.
So
look at like, and this goes into a completely different conversation, but just to make your example fit perfectly, and the fact that no one seems to be concerned about it is shocking. But like, Penn State hires Matt Campbell from Iowa State. The entire Iowa State roster, I think 60 of them left Iowa State. Wow. That's shocking.
Wow.
And can do it at any time. They can do it again next year if they wanted to. The entire, there's no guardrails against this.
But what's crazy, coach, that the new coach at Iowa State can come in and rebuild that and be better.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy, that even though that happens, they can still be better. So, and it's just, that's the time that we're in right now. It's something that if you don't get used to, and that's one thing I gave Lane Kiffin credit for. He was ahead. I ain't gonna say ahead of the game, but he embraced it when others didn't. Right. He embraced the portal when others didn't. Now, here's what's crazy about all of that, though, Coach. Everybody knocked Deion Sanders for being in the portal so much, but yet you get the Lane Kiffins, you get the Signettis, you get all these people that's been in the portal, and they treat it like kings. Well, it was Deion that played that portal. He played that portal. That's why Colorado was able to turn it around from 2 wins, 1 win, 3 wins into a bowl bid. But when he did it, you can't build your team off of the portal. You can't do it off of the portal. You got to have some continuity. But when all these other coaches did it, it was, man, woo, I'm glad he did it.
No, so, I do think that if there's any way possible, like if there is something that I think high school recruiting still, like I think you need, like you can go sign a big time offensive lineman out of the portal. Those prices are just, really expensive. But I think that, I think that's the most, that's the most important position group. And I still think there's some, I mean, I guess time will tell, but I think there's still a need for you to have some of that high school recruiting that way. And then, obviously work to retain it. But that's a position group that I would like to, if I have a certain playing style, a certain offense, I would like to, um, be in control of the development of that, if that makes sense.
Well, that goes to my next question. What's going to happen to high school football? 3 years down the line, 3 to 5 years. What's going to happen to the high school players?
Well, I'm going to tell you, you're getting to a weird place because Trey is on TikTok talking about the Trinidad situation,
Uh-huh.
and I think
I'm
that
give you my take on that one after you.
If you're for the high school player, once they start granting these waivers, turning these cats into 6-7 year guys, who's to say somebody won't try to go, once you get your 7th year, who's not going to try to go get an 8th year?
Come back.
Who's not going to try to get more? And if we're already seeing the game turning older, and if that's the trend, then it's obviously going to have a negative impact on the 18-year-old that's trying to come out.
Because you're playing against grown men.
Yeah.
Football is a sport. It's not like baseball and basketball.
Yeah, I'll take the 3-star defensive lineman that's 24 over the 18-year-old 5-star offensive lineman who didn't go to his prom because he enrolled as a mid-year.
Yes. And that's the thing. I had a conversation with my son. Like we was going to the basketball game, and we was talking about basketball. And I talked with my son. I said, look, in about 4 or 5 years, this whole landscape might be different. What's going to make you different? I said, everybody can shoot. Everybody can dribble. Everybody that plays well, that's your age, is probably doing the same thing that you're doing. I said, what else are you going to be able to do to spark that team? Now, because right now, and I don't know if it's been solidified or not, but if college basketball start allowing G leaguers to come back, man, you finna have a mess. Or what do we do if a kid get drafted and get cut? Can he come back?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what they're saying.
Because you basically because it's going to bleed to football eventually, and I get drafted.
If there's eligibility left, I don't see why under the guidelines.
Rufus French. He left Ole Miss with a year of eligibility left. Maybe I don't like where I'm drafted at. Maybe I don't like. I didn't get drafted. Then I'm just going to go back, play my 4th year. I untested to draft out. It didn't work for me. I'm going to go back and be better. And the thing is, you already at an advantage because now you know what NFL coaches want. You know what they're looking for. You've been in the meeting rooms. You've been in the interviews. And man, that's a huge, so now it's semi-pro football now. And my question is, who's going to class? Who's concerned about a class?
Now, nobody's going to class. I mean, you don't care about the student when he's going to 4 institutions in 4 years and he's never stepped foot in a classroom. This is completely online. You can't go from a law school to an ag school to a business school to this and then expect to have credits to graduate when this is all said and done.
No way possible. So what happens when you don't make it to the league?
It's over.
Because the league. So now, if you
better hope you made some good decisions on your NIL money.
Most likely you haven't because you've been bouncing from school to school, and you got these bloodthirsty agents
who's getting theirs.
And they, if you don't make it, they fine. They cool. If you don't make it, they cool. But to go back to the Trinidad situation, I want to get your take on it because I had a talk a few months ago with Coach Jennings at Calhoun City. Shout out Coach Jennings, state champion. We talked today. And, Coach Jennings played in the NFL, played with the Packers. Matter of fact, he in the infamous replacement referee game where he had a pick, and you can find it on YouTube, and they call it a catch. But I asked Coach, I said, with NIL money, don't it just make sense to just stay in college and play? And without any hesitation, he shook his head. Nope, get that pension. He said it without any, and it made me think that that's the thing. There are no retirement plans for these kids. Nobody, unless they got a good financial team around them, there is nobody putting this money up for him. I mean, Coach, he said it without any hesitation. I said, Coach, you telling me? I said, if I can make $3 million and stay in college in one more year, and he said, nope, go get that pension. Because he said this was his example. If you can make $3 or $4 million in college, then you probably a first or second round pick.
Right.
Make that money and get that money sold up. I mean, he said it, and this is somebody that's I tend to listen to people that's been in that place. He's played in the NFL. He's been there. He's been in those rooms. He know how the business go, and he said it without a doubt. So with Trinidad, I understand, and I want to get your take on this. If you're advising him, what would you be telling? Because I know what I would, even after, before even talking to him, I said, man, you are hot right now. This is a weak class of quarterbacks coming out. You're 24 years old, or about to be. There is one thing about college football. There is no guarantee until the next year. You don't know what's going to happen next year. If you want an example of that, Notre Dame, Penn State.
Yeah.
If you want an example of that, Notre Dame and Penn State. So you next year might not go because now people got film on you. Why not go to the league, Coach?
Well, for me,
and I'm a fan. I want him at Ole Miss. I want a stable quarterback, but why not go?
Everything I've read, and I did some digging because I wrote about his appeal and then what would be next, and then what the money looks like that he's guaranteed if he gets his year, what the money's guaranteed versus the NFL and everything, and then so researching from what scouts think, they view him as a mid third round. Some view him as low as fifth round, and you're talking about making 1.5 million a year with no guarantee, with no
pension.
Pension, you can be
pension.
cut. You might get the signing bonus, get cut.
I highly Coach, with the NFL, even if you're not the guy, you're needed. You're needed. Quarterbacks are dropping like flies. You're needed.
Yeah.
You're needed. I just.
But my thing is, like, if he got because when does all that start? Where he could, I guess, you take the tests and you.
Well, I mean, you got the NFL combine that usually it runs.
But isn't there some stuff right before that where they kind of get a feel for?
Well, that's usually sports writers, the professional writers doing that. Usually, when you start, once you make that declaration, I think you got a couple of weeks after the Super Bowl where you have to make a declaration. And once you make that declaration, then they send out the invites to the NFL Combine, and then they go from there. Then you start, team interviews. You do the Combine, you do team interviews, you do all of that. But it's kind of, and they file an appeal in courts in Mississippi, which NCAA, you're 0 for nothing. You're 0 for 90 on these appeals.
Yeah.
You haven't won them. And you keep looking worse and worse. So on the NCAA side, why dig a ditch that's you already 6 feet under? Why are you trying to go 9? So I don't know what they're doing on that end. But I'm almost certain that he's going to, if it ain't nothing but an injunction, to where he's going to end up eligible anyway, because now if he missed that window to get in the draft, then that's going to really play the hands of the NCAA to where you opening up so many daggum lawsuits that they ain't going to have no money left.
And, filing the injunction, we see how slow courts and things, like life just moves slower in Mississippi anyway. And if they take their time and drag it out, there's a chance he could be, because did Diego Pavia's situation when the season started once they figured that out?
Oh
or
man,
finally settled it.
I think. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it.
I mean, there's a chance he plays in 2026, and this isn't even over. Now I think they're going to try to move quickly. I know they're moving on the injunction pretty quickly, but
Yeah.
um,
Let's
I don't
see.
know. I'm not a law guy, so I'm not a lawyer.
I'm gonna have to contact Keegan Coleman, see if he can help me out with this. Anybody in the chat that know law, y'all need to help us out with this one right here. But I'm trying to. I pulled up an article um, of Diego Pavia when he and his whole thing was being at a junior college and not having the opportunity to make
And I
anything.
feel like Trinidad Chambliss should. I feel like playing Division II hurts your earning potential
Yeah.
over playing in Division I. I mean, I think there's a case there too. They're going off the incapacitated injury ordeal, wanting, I guess, a medical red shirt. But I feel like they could, I feel like they've got multiple angles to attack this if they want to.
Okay. His injunction, according to the article on AP, December. This was December the 8th, 2024. All right. His injunction was they had a hearing December the 4th, and let's see, he asked attorney at a hearing December 4th, both how quickly they could be ready for trial. And I'm trying to get to when it. Right, it was November the 8th of that year where he filed for the additional year. I'm just trying my best to get to. I'm not seeing the
So Will
exact.
says the court has to issue an injunction to stop the decision and set a court date, and I believe they're already working on that.
And
I
all you
believe
need,
that's
I mean,
that's rolling now.
whether you want to believe this or not, all you need is an Ole Miss judge.
Yeah,
All you need is an alumni judge, and they gonna
I
it's
should have
gonna
wrote it down. The name was already. I believe we already know who it is. I was
chat.
reading some stuff earlier today. I've read so much stuff, and I don't take good notes, and I get cross.
I take notes. They just be all over the place sometimes. I just be writing stuff down. But it's a big old. I'm not gonna say it's a mess, but it's something that if the NCAA, instead of just giving everybody what they want and then trying to regulate on the back end, if you would have just done this had some type of got in front of it first, instead of wait till the courts to make you make a decision, and when the courts make you make the decision, it's total chaos, which what we have right now. When you should have just jumped in front of it. It's like when Blockbuster had an opportunity to go streaming and didn't do it. They went out of business. NCAA, you are on the verge of going out of business because your conferences are bigger than you are. The Big Ten is bigger than you, SEC. NCAA. The SEC is bigger than you, NCAA. Those Power Four schools can start their own thing and leave you out, and will make a heck of a lot more money because they don't have to share it with you.
Yeah, it's going to
So
be interesting. But I'm
and
telling you, I'm just telling you now because I think there's been 15 of these waivers applied for. 6 of them have been denied. All 6 of them that were denied for the same reason that they denied Chambliss's, which was they didn't provide proper documentation. If he wins a lawsuit and it's over this, illness, injury, whatever, I think they're gonna see a lot more
transcript from the school. The transcript, and I was able to read it today. The transcript said that they redshirted him for performance, but there was an injury that could have, but they filed it under just a regular red shirt following NCAA protocol.
Yeah, because the only thing, from my understanding, the only documentation Ole Miss had from it was a doctor's note in December of 22 saying that he was recovered, and uh, but the Fair State documentation, which Tom Mars put a post out today saying that the NCAA didn't release everything that was in the documentation, that there is quotes of him having the illness and things in the Fair State documentation, but that the Fair State documentation, like you said, was strictly, developmental, like a red sitting out red shirt to learn and things like that.
And coach, all of this could have been avoided if the NCAA will be like, okay, I see this NIL lawsuit coming. I see they finna make this thing. Let's get in front of this. I see let's set some guidelines where you can transfer. Let's give them that, but let's try to control the thing. Now right now what we're trying to do is close the barn door and all the animals are out.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can go put a
because this money's in the kids' hands now. You're just going to take the money back.
There's no way to fix this. How's this ever going to be regulated? And what's going to happen is what they don't want to happen. You're going to mess around. Some senator is going to be pissed off that his school, or like what you had that went on at LSU, where you got a political person driving the force to hire a coach. And what's going to happen, some political person is going to get pissed off about something. And now we're going to be at Capitol Hill with some type of legislation trying to govern something. And at that point, if that happened, the NCAA is gone.
Which I don't think the NCAA is interested in, fixing or redoing the NIL structure. I just don't think that. I mean, we're on going on year 5 of this, and there's not been any. I just don't think they're going to. I don't either. I don't either.
It's the portal I have a problem with. There is no regulation, even with the players we're getting, the players that's leaving out. There is no regulation. There is nothing that's, now NIL is fine with me. These kids should have been getting paid. These kids didn't have no business. I remember.
I'm with you.
I remember when Tim Bowings was at Ole Miss. Miss Parker was our teacher, and she told me the only thing that he had to wear was sweatpants and clothes that he got from Ole Miss. But yet Ole Miss was making millions of dollars off of him. All these schools been making millions of dollars off of these kids, and these kids had to go back to an apartment that they paid for with their scholarship money, and they ain't got nothing but Viennas in the doggone cabinet while Chancellor Bobby Jones is eating a steak.
And who'd ever thought we got to it? The roles are reversed now, where we think the institutions need to be, guarded.
And it is crazy.
But as long as you have federal judges who are going to read bylaws and things like that and say, well, such and such arms, because I think this is coming. Somebody signs out of the portal, does not have a good time in spring practice. The spring window is closed now; it doesn't exist. Someone's going to sue to get out of school.
Yep.
So, and he'll win because everything's based off, the student athlete having the chance to make as much money as possible for their name, image, likeness, whatever, Ref-share, all this, getting their cut of the deal. And I guess technically they see it as if we get in the way at all, we're harming that. So they've just completely gotten out of the way.
Well, man, it's going to be something that I think this is a every week conversation, because it's going to continue. Even when the portal closes, it's going to continue to be the bulk of the conversation. But you brought up something today that is another situation that the NCAA, man, they got so many situations right now. I would hate to be working there. But you informed me today that they have to January the 23rd to make a decision on 16. Is 12 still a factor in this, or is it just 16 and 24?
No, if they cannot come up with an agreement by January 23rd, it will remain pretty much the same way it is now.
How do you feel about, because I just thought this 12 team was something special. I thought 4 teams wasn't enough. I truly felt that. I think the 12 team was the only thing I would change is that if you get a bye, get your bye at home. Change that bowl game because you should not be penalized on a neutral field and you earned a bye. But how do you feel about a 16 or 2014? That's
24 is way too much.
uh,
Now 16, the one thing I think you could do as far as like, because I think once you get to 24, I think they're going to restructure the conference championship weekend, because if you lose your conference championship game and you're the number 4 team in the country, you're not falling far enough to probably even lose a home game. So I think if they go to 24, you may see the conference championship stuff go bye. Now, I do think if you got to 16, there's a way to just play 8 home games or whatever and just move on. And then you could kind of start fixing the calendar instead of having these byes and then this 2-week break for a bowl game. Play your games, then move on to the next round, and you can fit all that into your, I guess, we used to call them access bowls, New Year's Six bowls. You play those, then you play 2, then you play your championship, and you get that done before, I guess, January 1. Play it January 1 and be done with your season. That way the portal can open and the teams playing in the national championship are not fighting for their roster or for getting somebody from somebody else's roster. You can move the high school recruiting window back now.
Yeah.
Because you would still have time to get those. If you wanted them to be mid-year guys and come in January,
they
still get that done. And that would kind of fix some of this calendar thing. And you could probably still do it with a 12-team playoff. I agree with you. I think 12 is the right number, except because my understanding is SEC commissioner, and this is from Heather Dinich of ESPN, College Football Insider. Greg Sankey favors a 16-team playoff with 5 automatic bids and then 11 at-large bids.
Okay, here's my thing.
The Big Ten commissioner, Tony Petitti, supports the 24 team, and he supports – now here, because this is what's going to happen, and no one wants to talk about this, is that you had a 14 playoff. It wasn't enough, so you went to a 12-team playoff. It's not enough, so you're going to go to a 16-team playoff. And it will not be enough, and it's going to end up – regardless, we'll do the 16-team thing for a little while, and then it's still going to go to 24. The 17th team in the country is going to get left out, who probably was a 9-3 football team that was not going to play for a national championship. Yeah,
probably.
Potentially.
I mean, it could be
you're right, potentially. And they're going to expand it again. It's going to happen because they've said, I think it's going to be 16 because, both those parties have to come together and agree upon something. And my understanding from reading this today was that the Big Ten supports the 16-team playoff if they're willing to revisit a 24-team playoff at the end of the contract.
Did we learn anything from Tulane and Ole Miss and JMU and Oregon? Did we learn anything?
Well, that's why I don't understand. Like, why are we still doing the auto bids?
Did we learn anything from this? Like, those 2 games were useless. Now, everybody might say, well, Indiana blew out Oregon. Yeah, Indiana probably going to blow out a lot of people. But them 2 games was, oh, man. I don't know. It seemed like before you know it, we will be at 64 teams.
I don't know if it'll get that far, but I could definitely, I'm telling you, 5 years from now, it's going to be a 24-team playoff.
Oh my gosh!
And I think that's way too much. I mean, I'm kind of with you. I think that you should make it to where
top 12 make it in.
But I think if you're going to reward those teams that, we talk about how the teams that got the bye that automatically advanced to the semifinals or the quarterfinals. They're 1-7 over the last 2 years, and I think that
the only one that won was Indiana.
You're not going to get 1-7, and you're not going to have an on-campus game in that quarterfinal round because there's the 6 New Year Bowl games or access bowls, whatever we're calling them, and that's why you have this playoff anyway. Is because they said, hey, we'll go along with this if you slap our All-State Sugar Bowl, Verbo Fiesta Bowl, Goodyear Cotton Bowl logo on this playoff game. We'll ride along with it.
And we could
And
slap it on in a home stadium.
so I do think that going to 16, I guess if there's anything, you get more on-campus games. Like, I think that's the thing that people do want is more on-campus games.
Because that was special.
Yeah,
Everybody that went to an on-campus game, regardless of if you've been to a regular season game, Coach,
it was different.
We've been to regular season games. That game was different.
It was different.
The atmosphere was different.
And it was against Tulane. I mean, imagine if Notre Dame would have stayed in.
Walking into the stadium was different. Everything was different. And I hate that teams that get a bye get robbed of that.
Yeah, and and not only from that standpoint, like I do think it's something that every fan base should have the chance to experience because it was incredible.
Yes.
But think about the amount of money that Oxford generated for its community getting that playoff game.
And
I mean, that place was a zoo.
That ought to be an incentive for, to say to my community, we got the first round bye, then boom, everybody that have supported us, now we get to support you because we're bringing in this big game to this community. If I'm in Auburn, Alabama, I get to bring this big game to Auburn, Alabama. All of the stores and restaurants and everything get the benefit off of that. And I just feel like they robbed those teams of that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't see the benefit of if we're going to let the 5 and the 6 seed play a cupcake tune-up game while the best teams in the country got a month off. I just don't see the reward in saying, well, this team got to tune up real good, and now we get to go, we've been on this layoff. And, I mean, I get it. Rest is important. A month's rest, if you got an extra week, that's one thing. But we're talking about a month between games.
We have to speed that up because that is not safe for the players. You can't have players out that long, and the likelihood of them tackling right now is little to none, and then all of a sudden you got to ramp it up for one game. I think that layoff between last game, this is why conference game, I wish the conference championship just go. Everywhere, just go. You had to run, we enjoyed it, but there's bigger fish to fry right now. Go ahead and do away with the conference championship game. You play your last game on, for instance, the last game this year was on November 29th. Boom. You make the playoffs. First playoff game start December 12th, and then you roll it there.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You stay away from the NFL calendar. You go Thursday, Friday, and then save your championship for the Monday. You go Thursday, Friday. Then by the time you get that, we should have played the championship game on January the 5th.
And then boom, everybody, then your season is done, and the roster retention, the roster building, reloading, whatever you want to do it, can go on, and there's not game planning going on in between it. I mean, the portal was open, and Ole Miss is hosting players.
And you can't even bring them in.
And then hitting the road.
Bring them to the stadium. You can't even recruit them on campus due to NCAA rules.
Yeah.
And portal unopened, so everybody else got their potential portal people on campus, and you get penalized because you're in the playoffs.
So it's just it's an interesting sport right now. But the viewership's out the roof. I saw today where I think the Fiesta Bowl had 17.2 million and peaked at 19 million with 2 minutes left to go in the game. I think I saw it. Plenty of eyeballs.
Well, Coach, that's a good segue right there. I want to talk about the last play. I've talked to a couple of people, and my comments reflecting of that last play wasn't because, and I stated that I didn't watch that last play. I just said typically, if there's a Hail Mary situation, they're not going to call pass interference. Now, when I went back and saw the play, I said, whoa, this is not a typical Hail Mary And here's the thing, and I had to correct somebody. It's like the referees can't make that call and put Ole Miss at the 1. I said this is not the NFL. Ole Miss don't get at the 1. It's a 15-yard penalty. Ole Miss is at the 20. Coach, when I went back and looked at it, and I examined it, Coach, that was not a Hail Mary situation. He was impeded from making a catch. And the pass interference should have been called.
Yeah, I think there was contact made around the 4-yard line, and that contact continued for almost 14 yards.
He had him in the cuffs of his pads and drug him down, and he still managed to get one hand on the ball.
Which is crazy.
They should have called. Now, you're not dictating the game right there because it only first of all, you have to make the call. Well, yeah, the Ole Miss, he wasn't gonna get on camera and complain about it because it should have never got to that point. If you stop them, you don't need no Hail Mary situation. So yeah, he's gonna say it was no pass interference. That's typical. He was gonna say that. We're talking about football, the football game. We're talking about a call that should have been made regardless of who it was. The thing is, when they make the call wouldn't have dictated the game because it's only a 15-yard penalty. And I'm not talking as an Ole Miss fan. I'm talking as a football guy that knows football, that's been doing this for over 40 years, that played it, that coached it, that know it. Now, that would have put them at the 20, so you're not dictating the game. Now, not saying it's okay if it put them at the 1, but at what point do we either make the call or not? Yeah, I'm an Ole Miss fan, but what they got to do with the call? That's what I'm trying to get this guy in check to understand. What do they got to do with the call? It's clear that I'm a fan. I got the freaking shirt and hat on. Duh. But what they got to do with the play?
And I kind of agree with Casey Dale is, what up, bro? There was a lot. Like, I think you could have called some things here and there. They let them play. And I just felt like, I still will just always feel like in that moment, that flag was never, regardless of whether people feel like it should or shouldn't, they were never going to throw that flag. That's where I'll be.
And they should have never threw the one then that they called that led to the touchdown then. Because that wasn't really a lot of that. My thing with that is, and here's my problem, it wasn't a lot on that pass interference that they called that led to the touchdown. There wasn't a lot called on that. So you shouldn't have called that one. Because that wasn't even a real, to me, that wasn't a lot to be a pass interference. When they went back and showed it again, I was like, nah, that ain't no pass interference.
Yeah. The only one that got called that I thought, like, that you can't, there's no arguing that one was it Jalen Braxton that turned the face mask of the Miami receiver? Yeah. I mean, there was no.
You just gotta
arguing that one.
Yeah, it was clear. You just gotta let that go. And brother, I don't know how you figure we cursed? How we cursed? Dude, we just got to watch the greatest football playoffs ever. So you can save that for somebody else. You say that for somebody else, and we'll go on and still be Ole Miss fans and still be there. No title. I guess that count. We ain't got no titles in nothing, do we? Oh, we won a baseball game.
We got women's golf, man.
Women. Oh, just women. Oh, okay, just women golf. We so cursed at Ole Miss. We can't never win nothing. Yeah, get on with that. But yeah, he grabbed his face mask. Ain't nothing you can do about that. But fatigue you can see on there. But like I said, if you're gonna do that, then you got to call it on both ends. That's what you got to do. Because like I said, I felt like the first one was not a pass interference. He grabbed his jersey. He let the jersey go, but they called it. So if you're gonna call that one, then go then go call that one right there. But like he said, you don't let it get to that situation. They started at the 25 and they marched all the way down.
which is why I think they've made such an emphasis to add depth to the defensive line and
Yeah,
completely restructure the secondary.
yeah, them boys were tired at the end. They were tired at the end. But man, we got coach. Let's dive into the players right now that have signed. You got that list in front of you right now?
Yeah.
Let's
Um,
go over the players that have signed and just give us your take on what you think about it.
so secondary wise, you got Jonel Aguero. I may butcher some of these names, so forgive me. He's transferring in from Georgia. You got Sharif Denson he's a cornerback from Florida. Edwin Joseph, they're really high on him. He's a safety transferring from Florida State. And then you have another guy they're really high on at the corner position, Jake Crawford, transferring from Auburn.
Yeah, that's a good.
Uh,
That's a good. That's going to be a good one.
your defensive line, uh, I will butcher this guy's name. Micah Borreo is a defensive lineman from Florida. He's the one that had the pick against Mississippi State, the defensive lineman that dropped back into coverage and got the pick on one of the last plays of the Mississippi State Florida game. You also added Jaheim Otis, Mississippi native, signed out of high school with Alabama, transferred to Colorado, and is now transferring to Ole Miss. You got Jonathan Maldonado, the Nevada transfer edge rusher, and then I believe that's going to be it on the defensive line. And then linebackers, you have Keaton Thomas transferring from Baylor. And then on the offensive side, and they're still in. Um, I think they're still in the hunt for one or two more wide receivers, but they did sign today. They signed Cameron Miller, a wide receiver from Kentucky. They signed running back JT Lindsey from LSU. I think the uh, the running back room's really interesting with Lacey, Mills Knight, Lindsey, and then I'm trying to think of the fourth guy. But them three alone, I mean, it's an interesting running back room. Obviously, you got Deuce Knight from Auburn. I think they would like to know or figure something out with the Chambliss situation.
Before you go on, my question with that: if Chambliss signed, is Deuce not willing to sit out another year?
It's my understanding that he is, and that's why they're having such a hard time getting another quarterback. Is because they've kind of committed to this plan with Knight to kind of say you're going to sit the year behind Chambliss, and then we're turning the keys over to you. Well, the problem is you don't want to interfere with that agreement and bring in another guy with multiple years, and then you know these guys have agents, so
Yeah,
they're going to tell them like, hey, if Trinidad Chambliss gets his year and comes back next year, and you're expecting to play, if you're a quarterback in the portal that can play on the SEC level and are expecting it, Ole Miss is not going to get that phone call because nobody knows what's going on with Chambliss, and one thing we will be for certain is that if he gets his year, he's going to be the starter next year.
yeah.
So, I think Deuce Knight is a great piece for the future, and obviously things will change. You'll have to restructure. This will be a year-to-year thing, but
Coach,
the thought is
a little
that
caveat on Deuce Knight. He was the first, if I'm not mistaken, we was at the clinic. He was the first high schooler that was getting NIL. Now he had to put it in a trust because he would have lost his amateur status, but he was the first high schooler in Mississippi that was getting NIL money at George County.
yeah,
That's crazy.
I mean that's crazy stuff. And then you get the Brady Prescorn, brother of Caden Prescorn. He transfers in tight
So
end from
that is his brother.
yeah,
Okay.
tight end from Michigan. You get Carius Kern, which my understanding was now He's an offensive lineman from LSU. My understanding was that he's supposed to be playing tackle for us, but that he's technically, I think, is going to be switching from guard to tackle. And we've had some offensive linemen, interior offensive linemen, hop in the portal, young linemen. It kind of, and Delano Townsend is the big one that I think Ole Miss people would like to see come back. He played some very valuable football for us on the offensive line. Now I wonder, do you go back in the portal to try to find a tackle and you make Kern a guard? There's some movement, some things, and I think they need to go find some offensive linemen to feel better about that room since you had 2 jump in the portal over the last 2 days. And then I guess that since Chris Jones, the linebacker from Southern Miss, has returned to the portal, that would round out what they've brought in.
Well, it looked like Pete got a plan together, and what I love about it is finally everybody's where they're supposed to be at. Everybody can work on what they're supposed to be working on. I think that was getting a little too exhausting, trying to see who was going to be with who and who was going to stay with who and who was going to sign with who. And I'm glad everybody is where they're supposed to be at. And now everybody can start building a team. And it's just amazing now, like when you got the transfer portal and you got these situations like this, man, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know how the season is going to be. But
no, nobody knows. I
No.
mean, there's going to be 3 or 4 teams ranked inside the top 10, 15 next year that won't even go 6-6. You can mark it now.
Yeah. Well,
And
I hope
you can say that we're going to spend a summer, and I'm excited about it because we never done a podcast. We didn't start the podcast till September.
Yeah, it was September.
So we get a whole summer of like breaking down
really
conferences and teams within the conference and things, and we're going to say a whole lot of nothing because nobody knows. I hope that you will listen and stay with us.
You can call us out.
But spring practice has never meant less. You're not going to hear anything from it. You're not going to get a depth chart because you can't let anybody's feelings get hurt before the season even starts. So you're just going to hear a whole lot of, we think we know, but until them games are played, nobody knows.
Just like everybody knew that Trinidad was going to be such a great quarterback. I'm ready. I'm waiting for somebody to lie. They ain't lied yet. We did not.
We knew, Coach. We knew.
Like, once again, I found out about Lacey on a video game. Didn't know nothing about him until a video game. So, man, it's just going to be exciting to see how this offseason go and how everything play out. But, Coach, man, I think we covered a lot, and we still didn't cover everything.
Great show.
Covered a lot and still didn't cover everything. So we will be back with you guys on Thursday night. Hopefully some things will happen to where we can get some more information to you. But, man, it's going to be an interesting off season. It's going to be an interesting, not trying to downplay the championship game, but you do have Indiana going against Miami in the national championship game on January the 19th. And
college baseball starts in 33 days.
Yeah, that's Coach Rem. We got the playoff NFL, and I will be covering the games that will be that week. You're gonna see a flip. You're gonna see a flip in everything because Coach gonna be talking about baseball, and I'm gonna be sitting like this, trying to follow everything. Like, yep, you're right, Coach, you're right. But we will be talking about NFL football on Thursday night, as well as getting you prepared for the national championship game, as well as the portal. We still going to have some things going to happen. A lot of things can happen in the next 2 days, but make sure you stay tuned. Stay with us. We are the Coach and Coach podcast. That guy right beside me, he's the offensive coordinator. He's the sane one on this group. I'm the defensive coordinator. I am that crazy-looking dude that Miami got as a defensive coordinator. Me and him look like we could be best friends because look like we don't have no friends outside of the friends we got to play for. So I think me and him will work out just fine. But we are the Coach and Coach podcast. Make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that if you missed this episode that you could go to Apple Podcasts, to Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment, rate us, let us know how we doing. Coach, is there anything else that we need to let people know?
Oh, there's plenty, but we'll get to it next time.
All righty. We'll see y'all again on Thursday night. We are the Coach and Coach Podcast, and we are out.